Hello, my name is HQ of HQ Reacts. Welcome to my channel. Please do me a favor. Hit the like button, share the stream, and click the notification button for new content. Thank you.
Hello, people. This is HQ here. I had this particular video set up for about 3 weeks now. Really didn't know what to say, how to say it, how to say the way people felt or how I felt, because I didn't really know Charlie Kirk, right? And this is about being an honest broker or an honest actor when it comes to racism. Being an honest broker. And I think a lot of people are not honest about their feelings and what they want to express, right? And I had been thinking about this. If you look on my channel, you would see that this video had been there for about 3-4 weeks. I just couldn't figure out how to approach it, right? So my thoughts on this pattern of racism is pretty simple. It's pretty simple. So racism isn't just about the slurs or about the open hatred that people like to express. It's about the ideas, the excuses, the narrative and excuses and things that are dressed up to sound reasonable. And this is what I think Charlie did. He dressed the racism up as reasonable. Because a lot of racist people today don't see themselves as racist. Because they don't use obvious language like the N-word, the N-word or calling people inferior or whatever. I don't care what I do. I catch a cold in this weather. I got to move to another state when the weather change. Sorry about the straightening my voice. But instead, a lot of people question the intelligence, the worth, the culture, or place in society, and they do it in a sly and slick fashion, which is what Charlie did. Hiding behind statistics, opinions, concerns, because we heard a lot of concerns. We heard a lot of statistics that were lies. Specifically, one specific statistic. So my thought pattern, and I haven't really expressed my thought pattern that he was a different type of racist. This is my thought pattern. He was a different type of racist. And that's okay. As long as you own it, Because there's a different form of racism these days. People don't wear a hood. They don't shout out slurs. They don't necessarily call you the N-word. But they hide behind those statistics, those concerns about religion, so-called intellectual debating. Because Charlie liked to debate. But he liked to debate why specifically black people, I don't know. Why would a person who is a religious person spreading love, peace, and harmony, supposedly spreading love, peace, and harmony, go out of their way to denigrate another race? Why would you go out of your way? And a lot of people say something goofy that I don't get. This is what many people mean. This is what I mean when I say, not other people, but I heard this opinion before. This is what many people think about a new age racism. It avoids the obvious hate language because open racism is bad for business and reputation. Because you notice people get fired, they get canceled, they get all that good shit when they say something crazy. But the conclusions still land in the same fucking place. Black people are framed as inferior, defective, or responsible for their own oppression, or responsible for society's ills. But Charlie Kirk fit this pattern of new age racism because, not because he says black people or I hate black people. It wasn't that he said that, but because of what he repeatedly argued about black people as a group, as a whole. He presented claims that black people were better off before civil rights. I heard that shit. That shit one time. And I found the clip in which he said it. Black people were better off before civil rights. So maybe we shouldn't have passed the civil rights. That the civil rights laws were a mistake. And that black women lacked the capacity for leadership or brain power. I heard that one too. These are not neutral opinions, okay? They directly attack the humanity, the intelligence, and the legitimacy of an entire racial group.
My direct answer is no, he wasn't. There are black folks who would be rolling over in their graves if they thought about what blacks currently today call racism. There are blacks who dealt with Jim Crow. There are blacks who dealt with slavery.
Yeah.
That was real racism. Those black people would be rolling over in their graves to hear the nonsense today that people are calling racist or racism.
When you use the term racist toward facts and questions, it diminishes the impact of the term. Being black does not leave you exempt from criticism, opinions, or someone just not liking you. If someone says black fathers aren't in the home as they should be, it's not racist if it's true. Same for our high crime rates. And it is typically said in an effort to bring awareness and in hopes that if we say it enough, maybe a culture shift will happen. Because while taking accountability is hard, due to the fact that it is an acceptance of the fact that you are contributing to your own suffering, it also teaches you that if you can cause this much damage, you can contribute just as much to your success.
Alright guys, this video is directed towards the black community that thinks Charlie Kirk was a racist. The black community believes Charlie Kirk was racist. But I'm here to tell you that was false. Charlie Kirk did not speak based on opinions, but he spoke on facts and data. Problem within the black community is they hold on to old wounds and they blame their setbacks and struggles based on skin color. They have this victim mindset where everything is all about this. But the truth is we all have the same opportunities today. The real problem with the black community isn't that we are set back because of our skin color, but the real problem comes back to this victim mindset that we just discussed. And I'm gonna break down this victim mindset and where it roots from. The real problem within our community is the broken homes. Black fathers are walking out on their families, leaving the mother to carry the load. And then what that does is it forces these families to grow up relying on the government. And that's what our kids are growing up seeing. Just to be blunt, healthy households aren't normalized anymore at all. God did not create women to provide and protect. That is our job. That is what men are supposed to do. But how do we expect this to happen if that's all the children grow up seeing? Just the other day at work, mind you, I do sales. I'm married. I'm 22 years old. I have a 7-month-old kid. Within sales is all about building rapport, building a connection with people. I start pitching the guy, find out he has a kid. I build a connection on that. Hey dude, I got a 7-month myself. Check this out. Here's a picture of my kid. And then the guy asked me, "Oh, is your baby mama black or is she white?" I respond, "Dude, she's not my baby mama, that's my wife, and she's black." That right there shows how normalized the broken system has become. And that's what Charlie was getting at. I definitely said it better than he did, 100%. But again, I have a career in sales, so I'm supposed to be good at talking. The deal is, Charlie spoke facts. But instead of waking up, people twisted it into racism. Instead of getting offended, maybe wake up and pay attention. And I can say this because I used to be a victim too. I blamed all of my struggles and my setbacks on my skin color. The moment I took full responsibility over my life and realized I had the same opportunities as everyone else, that's when everything changed and I started to see success and I stopped having a victim mentality. We can't keep passing down excuses. We need to pass down accountability, discipline, and strong families. And that's how we can shift out of this victim mentality.
Charlie Kirk was not racist. Charlie Kirk's goal for black people is to get out of the oppression mindset. Do y'all know that accepting oppression into your life is a word curse? A word curse. There's life and death on our tongue. When you choose to accept that you are oppressed, you are welcoming poverty and all the things that are not of God in your life. When you claim that you are a Christian, but yet you're following leaders who are marching around these streets saying, "Oh, democracy this and democracy that, we are the oppressed people," you are literally following the opposite of what God teaches in the Bible. The Lord freed us from oppression. That's the doctrine that I follow. Those are the words that I follow. Those are the words that Charlie Kirk also followed when he was here. Amen. So many of us black people choose to glamorize victimhood. I'm a victim of this, I'm a victim of that, but you don't want to accept accountability for anything that you do in your own life. Everything is everyone else's fault, but not your own. Charlie Kirk's message to black people was for us to be better. A lot of us actually have more, actually are doing well, but we are brainwashed and allowing these political leaders to tell us how we should think. Think about that. That's nonsense. The devil is a liar. Like, for real, y'all. Seriously. I have said this before. When you do your research on political parties, you're going to know who you should follow and who you should not follow. I am an independent because I choose to be underneath the covenant of the Heavenly Father. Amen. I'm just telling you, for those of you who are so loyal and so locked in with the Democrat Party, you don't even know that they are taking you to the land of destruction.
She's so independent. She's so independent. The first thing she says is, the Democratic Party don't care about you. Let's get something straight. I'm tired of these people, specifically black or white. I don't give a shit. I'm tired of you all coming on here saying that we got a victim mentality. The claim that people have victim, or black people have victim mindset because of our skin color is bullshit. It's used to cover, it's used as a cover. It's used as a cover to commit racism without saying it outright. Stop that shit. It takes real documented problems like discrimination in housing, jobs, education, and policing. That's what they do, and then they try to reframe that as a personal weakness instead of a systematic issue. By doing that bullshit, racism gets erased from the conversation because you trying to make us feel guilty for looking this motherfucker in the face and him telling us that we ain't good enough. That's our problem. If the problem is just our mindset, then no one has to talk about unfair laws, biased practices, or unequal treatment. It shifts the blame from the system to the people being harmed by it, which is not honesty, it's avoidance. Okay? Two things can be true at the same time. Some people can have that victim mentality, and the other people can feel the real effects of racism. They can be done at the same time. This bullshit narrative is dangerous because it allows racist behavior to hide behind words like accountability and bullshit, personal responsibility. It sounds reasonable on the surface, but the message underneath it is if people are struggling, black people are struggling, it's their own motherfucking fault. And if they speak up, they're just playing a victim. That framing gives people permission to dismiss black people's pain, mock legitimate concerns that they got, and justify harmful policies, all while claiming they're being truthful and honest. In reality, calling racism a victim mindset don't solve a goddamn thing. It just makes racism easy to deny and harder to challenge. And that's when I hate when I hear black folk who say this kind of shit.
Don't care about you. They never did, they never will, and they won't ever do anything for you that's going to benefit you. They only do things to benefit them. Literally. Black man, black woman, black people, you are not oppressed. You are beautiful. You can do anything and everything that you want to do. Anything and everything that you want to put your mind to, you can do it. You have the same opportunity as the next man who is not the same race as you. You have the same opportunity. In fact, there are black people who have proven that you can be successful.
I believe that wholeheartedly what you just said. If you are a member of a majority demographic and behave and believe wholeheartedly that you're being driven to extinction, that's a textbook example of a victimhood mentality. And I believe Charlie had that victimhood mentality. It's got that Nick Fuentes got the same victimhood mentality. Y'all the motherfuckers that got that victimhood mentality. You white boys is tripping. Some black people defend people like Charlie Kirk, not because his ideas help black people, because they don't fucking help us, but because alignment feels safer than resistance. Listen to what I'm saying. Alignment with white people feels safer than resistance. When you grow up in a society that constantly tells you that whiteness, proximity to power, or approval from a dominant group equals success, some people internalize that bullshit, that message. Defending someone like Kirk can feel like proof that they're different, reasonable, one of the good ones. It's not about fucking truth. It's about survival, acceptance, wanting to be needed, wanting to be a part of the crowd, and feeling protected in a system that has never been neutral for you. This is how self-denigration gets learned. This is how I get learned, right here, right now.
Successful. These black activists are the example.
Shut your ass up, Mike. You got to be one of them white boys that think you a victim. She's speaking about racism, so I'm the victim. She's talking bad about us white boys. I'm the victim. Shut your ass up. Start trying to learn something.
Of that. They have proven to us that you can become successful, right? But will they share that success with you? No, because they bank off of your victimness. They bank off of you having the victim mentality. Forgive me for saying that word victimist, because I know that's not a word, but y'all get my point. They make money off of us feeling down and low, feeling like we need them to be the voice for the people. Wake up, y'all. So that's all Charlie Kirk was doing for us. Wake up. These black activists, ain't it? They want you to stay down because they make money off of you. They're using you. You're not oppressed. You're not. And the moment you all realize that, you're going to have so much freedom. You're going to have so much freedom. And the moment you start walking in that freedom, that's when you become a threat to democracy. Because we're not living in democracy. We're living underneath republic.
No, I'm not attacking you personally, Mike. You're dismissing this because you don't want to face the fact that this is how you feel. Maybe you don't feel like that. Maybe you do. But when Nick Fuentes says, oh, we're being erased, we're being attacked, the white people aren't going to be here for long, that's a victim mentality. If you agree with him, that's a victim mentality. I'm not attacking you personally. I'm just saying what it is. It's the same as when you say black people need to get over being a racist. They need to stop talking about racist. That's the same thing. It's the same thing. A victim mentality, according to you all's matrix. Then you need to hit the door, Ace King. You need to hit the door.
That's why we're able to do all the things that we're able to do. But y'all understand this, my fellow black men and women, you are not oppressed people. We are free. We live in a free country. It is time for us to believe in that thing. Amen and amen.
Anybody that's telling you that Charlie Kirk is racist or hated black people is lying to you because they are pushing an agenda. I will tell you this. Charlie Kirk is responsible for more careers of black conservative commentators than anybody else. He gave me a platform. He elevated Terrence K. Williams, David J. Harris Jr., the younger ones, Amir Odom, Chandler Crump. All of these people were elevated by Charlie Kirk. He flew hundreds of young black people to D.C., probably some of them their first times on a plane, to go to the White House during Trump 1.0 when Turning Point USA put the Black Leadership Summit on. So anybody that's telling you that Charlie Kirk hated black people does not know Charlie Kirk, is not judging him by his actions or his deeds, and is trying to get you to think a certain way about him because they are pushing their political agenda. Charlie Kirk discovered me. I worked under him for years. This man helped you. This man elevated you. This man uplifted you, and has done that for so many black people that are not only front-facing conservative commentators, but are also black people that are just working on the front lines of the conservative movement, from strategists to people that are going out chasing ballots to people that are door knocking, et cetera, et cetera. Charlie Kirk elevated them all. So when somebody tells you that that man is racist, when somebody tells you that, oh, he was this, he was that, because they're going to misrepresent some things that he said to you, or they're going to misrepresent, something that came out of one of his videos, you judge that man by his actions. And his actions were to uplift and elevate black people in this movement.
Black Americans are poorer today in 2024 than they were in the 1950s.
Yes. Why do you think that is?
Good question. So we have the Civil Rights Act. We have more benefits, more government programs. Something changed between the 1950s and 2024. So there's two answers to this question. Either America got more racist since 1950s to 2024. So like that 70-year period, because Black Americans are worse off today per capita.
Yeah,
than
I would
they
agree
were.
with that.
You agree with that? Okay, good.
Yeah.
Than in the 1950s. Or there's another explanation. And I think the truth is somewhere in the middle, which is, I think you would acknowledge that the disappearance of the black father has been the number one driver of black poverty in this country. Now, there are reasons for that we could...
Yeah. What do you think the reasons for that are?
Well, culture is one. Would you agree?
So actually, let's go back to the foundations of that
school to prison
culture.
pipeline, all that stuff. But can we at least agree that black dads not being around is a bad thing?
Anyone's father not being around is a bad
No,
thing.
of course,
not
but
specifically.
75% of black youth are not raised with a father in the home. It's the highest of any group in the country.
Whether you like what he has to say or not, you don't get to just misquote him. And I understand, because when I was on the left, I thought that I could trust my party.
See, that's the one thing you're not going to do. You're not going to gaslight people who heard what he said. You're not going to gaslight us in that, okay? The whole point is, he said what he said. That's his interpretation. That doesn't necessarily mean it's true, but it's his interpretation, right? But why specifically that?
So I could just trust the headline or trust the 10-second clip, because they wouldn't just character assassinate or physically assassinate anybody that disagrees with them politically, right? Actually, what I realized is that they call anybody a racist that has a difference of opinion in order to shut the conversation down. Because
all right, today we're going to say it. Not today we're going to say it, but we're going to say it every other day. If you want your comment read, you need to put it in a super chat. I never ask for super chats, but sometimes this audience gets so many people in it, and they asking me questions, they saying comments, and they want to say something and want to get on the screen. If you want to be read, then it needs to be in a super chat. Otherwise, I can't follow all of that on the screen. I can't. Okay.
Because why would you listen to what a racist has to say? So this will be a series, and if you are in support of this series, please like, comment, and subscribe so that I can keep going, because we don't get to just misquote people because we disagree with them. Happy Sunday.
Charlie Kirk was not racist. Charlie Kirk showed black people nothing but love. He believed there was nothing he could do that we couldn't. He believed there was nothing he could achieve that we also couldn't. He believed there were no limits to what a black person could accomplish in America. And people called him racist.
And this is what people don't get. A lot of people don't get. Yes, for the most part, people are not out and out racist. They may have those thoughts. We get it. And there's laws put into place to combat whatever was racist back in the day. But that doesn't mean that those things that they put into place worked. They put laws into place. Civil Rights Act was enacted because there's segregation. There was redlining. There was all kinds of things that were underneath the civil rights umbrella that covered the umbrella. There were laws to correct those things, but that didn't mean those things still didn't happen. Okay, redlining still goes on today. Being proportionally arrested because you're black still goes on today. These things still go on today. Does that mean I'm a victim because I understand that it still goes on today? Is it a victim that I would be a victim? Does it mean that I have a victim mentality because redlining, people don't see the redlining, people don't see the racism? I don't understand. But it's neither here nor there. We're not talking about racism. We're talking about Charlie Kirk and the way he presented himself as not being racist, when I have come to the conclusion that he was.
Because he refused to see black people as second-class citizens. Now, if you want to call me an Uncle Tom, a coon, a sellout, that's fine. You're entitled to your opinion. I've heard it before. But I encourage everybody with an open mind to watch this video till the end, because I believe I can change your mind. If you believe Charlie Kirk was a racist, it's evident that your opinion was formed through 30-second out-of-context clips pushed by an...
No, you're not going to gaslight us. It wasn't 30-second clips. You can listen to the totality of what he said. I came to the conclusion that he was racist because, not because of 30 clips. I listened to the bulk of his clips. I listened to those clips. I listened to people's responses. I listened to why he would have said what he said. And it came back to a few clips that really convinced me that he was definitely a racist. Just one of them newfangled ones.
Algorithm meant to enrage you and further the racial divide between black and white people. But as somebody who's seen Charlie Kirk live and watched many of his college debates all the way through, I can tell you with 100% certainty, every black person that came to the microphone was met with respect, was met with dignity, and was welcomed.
Here's the thing though. If you think Charlie wasn't no racist, then maybe you need to check what you think. Maybe you are the racist. If you didn't think he was a racist, maybe you're really a racist and you don't think he's a racist. People come around and say he's not racist. Maybe you're racist and you just ain't thought about it. Because that does happen to a lot of people. A lot of white folks come over and say, he wasn't racist, he was just telling the truth. Okay, maybe have you checked your biases? Have you checked what you thought? Have you checked your racial meter? Okay? Y'all need to check your own racial meter. And for the record, and I'm gonna say it, and it may not be polite, but you white folks don't get to tell me what's racist towards me. You white folks can't tell me shit about somebody who is racist. Yeah, please understand that. White folks, don't tell us what's racist. We know when somebody's being racist towards us. 95% of us know when someone's being racist towards us. Stop it. Stop trying to tell us what's racist. You can't.
And given a platform to engage in cordial civil discourse about their disagreements. A lot of the conversations revolved around DEI, and no matter where the conversation went, by the end of it, Charlie Kirk would tell every single black person, you are smart, you are competent, and you are capable.
He misrepresented DEI on purpose in order to push a racial ideology. DEI was created to give opportunity to people with the same or higher level of skill in companies who only hired white people, not to hire someone only because he was a minority, he was black. That's what a lot of you goofies been saying. DEI only hires people who are what? DEI is only to hire people of color. DEI prevented, or DEI helped white women more than they, and then helped minority men more than they helped black people. So it wasn't a matter of skin color. A lot of you goofies didn't get that. It helped white women more than black women, white women more than Hispanic men. That's wild.
You can do anything a white person or an Asian person can do. You can succeed on your own merits and don't need the bar artificially lowered because of your skin color. DEI is a racist policy that implies that black people aren't capable of succeeding.
You see how he thought? You see how the thought pattern comes right on up that says black people. I just explained to you all that, and you can look at the statistics. You can look it up. I ain't looking up shit for you. You look it up. DEI helped white women more than any other demographic. So this thing about DEI helping black people is a lie. Charlie Kirk misrepresented DEI on purpose to push a racist ideology. That's it.
Succeeding at the same rates as whites or as Asians, and therefore must have some lower set of standards. Black women have historically been the victim of being told, you're beautiful for a black woman, and they are aware that's an offensive, racist, backhanded compliment that implies you're not even in the same league of beauty as white women, but hey, for a black person, you're pretty good. But we refuse to acknowledge that that's exactly what.
The next time you speak to me, smoke, coke, boat, don't float, put it in a super chat, because you sound weird as hell. I'm a DEI. That's fucked up. I don't even understand that. Goofy logic. Stop talking like a zombie.
What DEI is for black competence and intelligence. Michelle Obama, Joy Reid, Ketanji Brown Jackson, Sheila Jackson Lee bragged about getting to where they were.
No, you ain't finna do that. You ain't finna do that. One of the smartest women, some of the smartest women in this fucking country, black boy. That's the one thing you ain't finna do is denigrate our women. That's the one thing you ain't gonna do. Is say, because Charlie said what he said. He said black women don't have the brain power. See, this is what I don't like. Black people are exposed to these narratives that say X, Y, and Z. Our culture is broken. Our intelligence, black women's intelligence is questionable. Our struggles are self-inflicted. When those messages are repeated enough by media, schools, politics, Charlie, churches, black folks start to believe that bullshit. Over time, black people become easier than confronting racism itself. Blaming black people becomes easier. Over time, they do that. This is what happened. These kind of people is what we get. We get people who are defending systematic racism, people who are defending racism. Defending racist arguments can feel like being honest. Let's be honest, y'all. Let's black folk be honest with black folk. Or it's like they telling the hard truths, when in reality it's repeating the same old fucking supremacist talking points used to justify inequality that we have had all of our generational lives. This is wild.
because of affirmative action, bragged about being admitted into merit-based institutions, not because of their qualifications, but because of their race and their gender. What I find ironic about black people is we'll take such offense to being called a DEI hire, but then we'll boycott Target for removing their DEI policies. So which one is it? Is it a program you're proud of because it allows black people to get ahead by lowering the barrier to entry? Or is it an offensive insult that implies that you weren't competent enough to succeed on your own merits? It's like when women would call Lizzo beautiful, but then take offense at being told they look like Lizzo. People called Charlie Kirk racist because he told black people to dream big, because there's nothing in this world that they cannot.
See, and what he did was dream big, black people, dream big, black people, even though I'm the one on the high, I'm the higher one on the totem pole. You supposed to take my word for it. I'm the white boy that's already on the totem pole. So let me pat your head. Stop thinking that you ain't no good, little black boy. Stop thinking you ain't no good. I'm finna tell you, you better than everybody else. You better than that. You don't need to be that victim mentality, even all the while being denied access to certain things. That's wild. Look at this shit. This is harmful, especially harmful, listening to this kind of talk and listening to this from a black person. It's harmful. The reason why it's harmful is because these defenses are then, the defenses used as weapons. When a black person repeats racist ideas, it gives cover to this racism. See, even black people agree with me, Charlie Kirk. Even black people agree with me. That doesn't make the argument true. It just makes it more dangerous, especially coming from a black person. When a black person says this bullshit like you hear these black people saying, it silences criticism. Why your black people saying this stuff? He black just like you. Why he saying that stuff? It must be true if he black just like you and he's saying it. It confuses the public. It shifts the blame away from the systems and onto the people who are being harmed. Black people who are being harmed. This is not empowerment. I don't understand it. It's participation in a narrative that undermines black dignity and collective progress. I ain't gonna say the C word. I'm not gonna say none of that. That'll show get you banned. But this is a special kind of black folk.
Accomplish that they are not second-class citizens. There is nothing systemic holding them back, and that they can be successful.
I just said redlining, housing, schooling, education. Wow. I gotta do that. I forgot to do that, and I had that lined up. Racism, systematic racism still goes on to this day. I forgot. I was supposed to do that one because I forgot to do that. I got to do that one because apparently people right these days don't see systematic racism at all. Ain't no systematic racism. Ain't none. Ain't no systematic racism. Yet and still we had a $1 million lawsuit that was settled down in Florida for being for a couple being red, for a whole bunch of black folks and a whole bunch of Hispanic folks being redlined. And that happened. That lawsuit was this year, beginning of this year, or last year, one or two, this year or last year. You mean you don't understand systematic racism? I understand it just fine.
Just like white people. But the prevailing narrative is because he didn't see black people as second-class citizens. That's what made him racist. How is it okay for Michelle Obama and the rest of them to brag about becoming successful because their bar was lowered based on irrelevant, immutable characteristics? And when Charlie Kirk points out that means they took the spot from someone else who was objectively more qualified, now all of a sudden he hates black women. You can't advocate for policies that systemically benefit women and minorities and disadvantage men and white people. And then
I told you he was that special. He was that newfangled racist. He had to dress it up. See, remember y'all in the Bible, y'all said, y'all Bible, this Christian Bible said, the devil don't appear to you in looking like the devil, do he? He appeared to you looking beautiful, soft, and lovely, speaking sugary words. Racists these days don't appear to you calling you the hard ER. Not the true ones. The true ones hide behind you and out maneuver you at the job. Or when you get to the job, they undermine everything you do. Being nice, smiling in your face. Just like Charlie. No, I ain't no racist. But I don't like that Juneteenth. Y'all shouldn't be having no Juneteenth. Why y'all got a Juneteenth? Oh, that Martin Luther King wasn't shit. Knowing full well that that's an icon that most black people look up to. Why would you denigrate that? Why would you even try to denigrate that? Why would that even cross your mind to denigrate that man? The devil didn't appear to people in his ugly disguise. He appeared beautiful, soft. If y'all ever saw that one movie by that was Jesus, it was called Jesus Christ. It was one movie with that one actor. I forgot his name. I got to look it up. Hold on.
Claim to be oppressed by white men. What you want is systemic superiority while also being able to claim victimhood status. You can't celebrate a system that gives a lower standard to black people and a much higher standard to other people and then be mad when people don't know if you got in based on the normal standards or the racist lower black standards. Charlie Kirk never claimed black women were inherently dumb or incapable. He just acknowledged the reality that these women proudly
Yes, he did. That's the problem. Yes, he did. You apparently didn't hear the clip. I'm going to play the clip because I seen it. You don't get it.
Proclaimed. Charlie Kirk said if he sees a black pilot, he's not sure whether they're qualified or not. Well, that is totally the fault of United Airlines, who publicly stated that their mission was to make 40% of all of their hires minorities and women. If they just simply said, at United Airlines, we're committed to hiring the most high quality pilots who will get you where you want to go safely and on time, no one would even think twice if the cockpit had black people in there. And he even said these arbitrary racist hiring quotas might be okay in the HR department. Hell, they might be fine in the marketing department. But you're talking about pilots, people in charge of the lives of hundreds, flying through the air at 30,000 feet, going 500 miles per hour. The quality of pilots have life or death.
And I would think that you would know that the person, a female or a black male who got that particular position as a pilot, they would be doubly qualified. So they wouldn't fuck up. That's wild. That's wild.
Implications and should not be turned into some social justice project because people stop caring about political correctness, insensitivity, and niceties when their lives are on the line. And how can you blame them? It's not like we don't know what groups of people aren't having the bar lowered for them and what groups of people are. And you can't expect society to just pretend like that doesn't exist when it comes to something as important as flying on a plane. Black people shouldn't be mad at Charlie Kirk. Black people should hate the Democrats for instituting and perpetuating a racist policy that strips them of their sense of achievement.
What does that have to do with the Democrats? What does what Charlie had to say do with the Democrats? See, and then this is why I look at your agenda as something else. He's speaking for everyone. I don't know who he's speaking to. He's not speaking for me. This is black folk trying to explain away white racism. This is what it is to me. It don't look like jack shit I recognize. See, even black people agree. They love to hear that. Even the racist people love to hear that. Okay? It's empowerment. You need to pull up by your bootstraps. The saddest part is that those who play this role are rarely protected by the same people that they defend. Because he ain't going to see you, racists don't see you no better than black folk. Ask Officer Tatum. Ask Officer Tatum. Did Officer Tatum, he was the love of Charlie. He loved him some Charlie Kirk. He cried on film. He cried on set. Even after saying he wasn't going to cry about his wife. He cried about Charlie Kirk. And was he invited to Charlie Kirk's funeral? Did he get to come to Charlie Kirk's funeral? I didn't see that. I ain't see him over there at Charlie Kirk's funeral. Was he at Charlie Kirk's funeral? Somebody tell me. Did he get to go to Charlie Kirk's funeral? Did they invite him and Candace? Did him and Candace get invited? Candace was such a good friend of his. He was such a good friend of Officer Tatum. Did Officer Tatum get invited to the funeral? Did Officer Tatum or Candace get invited to the funeral? I just want to know. He was such a good friend. They were such a good friend. Ain't nobody seen your black ass over there yet. Yet. Ain't nobody seen you acknowledged yet. Okay? But yet and still, he was your good friend. You cried online. You cried on damn YouTube talking about, he was my good friend and I was there from the beginning. And not now one time did anybody invite you over to have no dinner after the damn funeral. Did anybody let you in on the luncheon after the funeral? No. Shut your ass up. Y'all just being used as pawns over there. And y'all doing it good. Some of y'all tap dancing real good.
And forces everybody to question the legitimacy of their accomplishments. The entire concept of white privilege implies that black people are second-class citizens.
Will never be the best version of yourself if you allow other people to convince you that you can't be better because of your skin color, because of your sexual identity, because of the community you came from. You must resist those narratives at all costs if you truly want to be successful in America.
So that's the narrative that we hear. That's the narrative I hear every day, all day. Oh shit, you he ain't no racist. He ain't no racist. Why you believe that? What's going on? This is how denigration is learned from black people, like I told y'all. From a young age, black people are exposed to the narratives that say we are the fucking problem. They are. Okay? What makes this especially harmful is that everybody want to defend it. All these goofy people want to defend it. Okay? Everybody. See, I'm one of the good ones. I'm one of the good ones. That's the way they look at it. That's the way they want to be seen. That's crazy to me. That's crazy to me. He didn't come out and ever say, I hate black people. He didn't say that. It's not that. Okay. It's what he said about black people as a group, as a whole. The claim that black people were better off from the 1940s ignores a basic reality. In that time frame, black people were legally segregated, barred from voting, excluded from jobs and housing, terrorized by lynching. See, you gotta say that shit was fucked up when he says, oh, they were better off during that time frame. You gotta look at how fucked up that statement was. You gotta look at that statement on his face and say, that shit is wrong. Okay? That shit is wrong. People were terrorized, lynched, denied basic protections. To call that better is to define well-being purely by economic structure, surface numbers, while ignoring the fact that they didn't have the freedom, the safety, the dignity, and basic human rights. When somebody says black people were better off before civil rights, what they're really saying is that black people were more acceptable when they had less power. That argument does not measure success by human beings advancing or flourishing. It measures success by how little disruption black people cause to white discomfort or white comfort. You notice he said they were better off. What did you point to? You point to the fact that there was less fighting. There was less argumentation. There was less confrontation between blacks and white people. It was less. Okay? Less. That argument does not measure success the way it's supposed to be. That framing is in itself is racial, whether the speaker admits it or not. The idea that the Civil Rights Act should not have been passed is especially fucked up. That law did not give black people special privileges. That's what y'all don't get. That's what a lot of people don't get. It simply made it illegal to openly discriminate in the jobs, housing, education, and public life. That's all Civil Rights Act did. Opposing that law means being comfortable with legalized racial exclusion. There is no race neutral way to argue against civil rights protections. No way. And for that, and the reason why he was against civil rights, that is what convinced me that this man was racist. The fact that you argued against civil rights. Let me say it again. Civil Rights Act should not have been passed. It was passed. It did not give black people special privileges. It simply made it illegal to openly discriminate in jobs, housing, education, and public life. And another common thing is the narrative is to blame civil rights for people's social problems too, while ignoring centuries of damage before then. The young lady tried to say something about that in that video with Charlie Kirk. You cannot break a leg, remove the cast halfway through healing it, and then say, see, the cast didn't work. Civil rights laws were not the cause of inequality. They were a partial response to it.
I'm sorry, if I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified.
When blacks in America did not have the same rights they had today, they were less murderous, there was less break-ins. Why is that? And the data shows they were actually better in the 1940s. It was bad, it was evil, but what happened?
A certain skin color.
So he's basing success on whether we're tame enough. Whether we're tame enough. Whether we know how to act out in society enough. Whether we know how to act right enough. You're basing success on that?
Now gets their own summertime celebration. Oh, wow, look how far blacks have come. It has now become a racial complaining day. Remember what BLM stands for: burn, loot, and murder.
Yeah, DEI stands for one of the biggest. Didn't earn it, just so we're clear.
Can we also acknowledge, due to the laws under Jim Crow, that black people were significantly hindered from economic advancement?
This is a really important question. The data shows not really. Black Americans are poorer today in 2024 than they were in the 1950s. The disappearance of the black father has been the #1 driver of black poverty in this country. We at least agree that black dads not being around is a bad thing.
Anyone's father not being around is a bad thing. Starting in the 1980s and continuing onward, there's been a war on drugs. Is this correct?
I like the war on drugs. Blacks commit more crimes than whites do. They commit more murders, they commit more arsons, they commit more kidnappings. That's not a war on drugs, that's a culture problem. Why are so many blacks committing murders outside of their population? So we've spent $20 trillion on uplifting black communities, $20 trillion, and black Americans are poor. Food stamps, subsidized housing, Medicaid, public schooling, subsidized college. We're talking about $20 trillion that has been spent on the Great Society, and yet black America is poor.
I'm sorry, y'all.
More murderous, more dangerous.
Part of equity
Somebody call me. Sorry.
is allow.
Other people?
This really might be one of the worst quotes I've ever heard from Charlie Kirk in my entire life. There is truly no defending this. It's more proof that he built his career off of being a racist, and no amount of context could possibly change what he's saying in this clip. Just listen.
Here's what's upsetting to me, Heather, is if I'm dealing with somebody in customer service who's a moronic black woman, I wonder, is she there because of her excellence, or is she there because of affirmative action? It almost creates thought patterns that are not necessarily wholesome.
The Charlie Kirk defenders are going to say, well, he's talking about DEI and how DEI is a bad thing because it makes us think that these black people aren't qualified to work these jobs. But what he's actually doing is undermining minorities as well as women and saying they're not deserving of the jobs they have. His logic was on full display in that clip. He thought the only way black people could possibly get jobs is because of DEI. But what's crazy is I guarantee that if Charlie Kirk dealt with a bad service worker who was white, he would not be crying about DEI at all. He would just brush it off as, hey, there's just some bad people who work in the service industry. It's no big deal. Here's the reality. Black women are among the most educated groups in the United States. They have higher college enrollment rates than many of their peers, and that's a fact. They've earned their place in boardrooms, classrooms, hospitals, and every sector in the entire country. Suggesting otherwise is not political commentary. It's just blatant racism, plain and simple.
And that's why I think this United story and the DEI story hits so hard, because we've all been in the back of a plane when the turbulence hits, or when you're flying through a storm and you're like, I'm so glad I saw the guy with the right stuff and the square jaw get into the cockpit before we took off, and I feel better now thinking about that.
No, I mean, like, you want to go thought crime? Like, I'm sorry, if I see a black pilot.
I know that's fucked up. That's fucked up for him to say. So the other dude is kind of racist too. The other dude is kind of racist. Bitch, most of us don't see our pilots. Most of us don't see our pilots. And most of us don't sit there and say, ooh, I hope he's not black. Most of us don't. Because most of us don't see our pilot. Where do you get that shit from? Where did that even come out of y'all's fucking mouth to say? This is why I lean more towards racist.
I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified.
Well, that's the you wouldn't have done that. You wouldn't have. You wouldn't have done that before.
That's not an immediate.
No, you wouldn't have done that before.
That's not who I am. That's not what I believe.
It is the reality the left has created.
Okay, first, this is exactly what you believe, and this is who you are because you just said it. But secondly, DEI stands for diversity, equity, and inclusion. It's an organizational framework that seeks to promote the fair treatment and full participation of all people, particularly groups who have historically been underrepresented or subject to discrimination on the basis of identity or disability. And these applicants who get hired through DEI pathways go through the same onboarding process. Obviously, a black pilot is just as qualified as a white pilot. They went through the same training, passed the same test, and logged the same hours. Duh. Blaming DEI for making you feel insecure about a black pilot is just a distraction from the racism that lives inside your heart. And as a fellow Christian, I am absolutely ashamed that Charlie can say such things with no conviction.
Okay, so I've had a whole lot of white folks commenting on my last video asking for proof that Charlie Kirk was an outspoken racist. And there are many horrible quotes to choose from, but there's one that I haven't seen get quite as much attention that I believe is head and shoulders worse than all the rest. In December of 2023, Kirk said, quote, "We made a huge mistake when we passed the Civil Rights Act in the 1960s, end quote. And to understand why him saying this is so heinous, so barbaric, you have to understand Jim Crow, which is what the Civil Rights Act officially ended in 1964. And I don't say this for shameless self-promotion, but I'm an expert on Jim Crow. I wrote a book about slavery and Jim Crow in 2018, and I just spent the last year and a half of my life making a documentary that covers these same time periods. So during Jim Crow, a black person who was just walking down the street could be picked up at any moment and brutally lynched or tortured and murdered for the crime of flirting with a white woman or any crime they might be accused of without any evidence being presented.
But people think because it's not like that, that they're not racist anymore. No, you're not getting lynched, although there's plenty of lynchings that happened this year. 3 of them I know specifically that happened this year. I don't think too many black people are lynching themselves. But lynching don't happen no more, y'all. It don't happen no more.
trial. And often these murders were performed in the presence of dozens or even hundreds of white onlookers who would never face any legal repercussions for their actions. So for Charlie Kirk to say it was a mistake to end that system of terror, Jim Crow, and that barbarism toward the black community, it doesn't just prove that he was a racist, but it shows that he was determined to profit off of racism and selective outrage and to build his political and media empire on the back of our 400-year legacy of anti-black racism in this nation.
Exactly. Which is another leg in which I said he's racist, because he's building a platform on that particular subject. Go ahead, bro.
Morning, loves. Hope you all had a great night. Over the weekend, I was having, I guess, a late lunch, not quite dinner, with one of the besties. And we're sitting outside a lovely place upstate Connecticut. We're on our way to the winery. As we're sitting there, I'm with my back towards it. Bestie says, look at the sky. It looks like it's going to rain any minute. And I was like, that's not what, when I left the house, that's not what Siri said. And I turned around, and sure enough, the clouds, the sky behind me was almost completely black. Where I was looking was clear as day, as it is now, quite pretty in the sky. But behind us, the rain was a-coming. The storm was coming. So literally, as we're sitting there, no rain yet, I say to Siri, hey Siri, what's da-da-da-da-da? She comes up, she says it's going to be this degrees, but no, there was no rain. No chance of rain. And we're like, what? Because we're literally looking at the sky, the grey sky, the rain is coming. Okay. So then, within minutes, it starts raining. We literally see the rain. Although Siri told us that what we were seeing was not true, that it was just a figment of our imagination. This is how I feel about this whole discourse about Charlie Kirk. We, those of us who are not racist, who are not part of this structure, could see it in plain day, plain sight, that this man was not a good person. No, I do not condone somebody being shot and murdered, period. However, as he lived is how he died. His philosophy was all about having the freedom to shoot and people to die, and that's his thing. But the point that I'm making is that sometimes, even when something is right in front of your face, like, you will still and can deny and say it's not so. And in processing this, I'm saying to myself, can this many people be absolutely clueless about who he was, or, like me, in denial about the rain clouds, darkness that was right behind me, even though I could see it?
That's what it is. It's the denial of the rain clouds, honey. That's exactly what it is. See, the claim that Charlie Kirk made that black people were worse off today than they are under slavery is not only wrong, it's morally offensive to me. Slavery involved rape, family separation, labor, forced labor, torture, legal non-personhood. That's what it was. Comparing modern inequality to slavery minimizes the brutality of the slavery and rewrites history to serve as an ideological point for him. He made money off of this bullshit. The attack on our 4 black women's intelligence or brain power is one of the oldest racist, sexist truths in society. They do it to Jasmine Crockett. They do it to Michelle Obama. They do it to whatever black woman step into the arena. I have goofy people in the chat telling me the same thing. Every time a black woman steps forward in anything, white men, black men, it don't matter. You'll come and say she's dumb, she's stupid, she don't know. It combines racism and misogyny into one thing. This is what Kamala ran into. It's an argument that says black women are inherently unfit to lead anything. That is not a cultural criticism or political debate, policy debate. That is a biological inferiority thinking, which is the backbone of racism, which is where racism comes from. Ignorance in high detail. So when Martin Luther King is torn down, like Charlie Kirk tried to do, reframed as a mistake, it's selective quoting or harassment. MLK is praised when he is reduced to be nice and colorblind, but attacked when his actual message about economic justice, social justice, systematic racism, and white resistance is acknowledged. Sanitizing MLK while rejecting his real work is another way to neutralize black struggle without sounding openly racist like Charlie did. And this is what he did. Downplayed what MLK was. Downplayed his importance. Downplayed the smart and savvy women like Michelle Obama, like Jasmine Crockett, like Joy Reid. Color blindness is often used as a shield because Charlie did it. I don't see race. Sounds fair, but ignores how race has shaped the wealth, neighborhoods, schools, policing, and opportunity in this country for black people. Refusing to see race is a racial unequal system. It doesn't make someone neutral. It makes them comfortable with the inequality staying exactly as it is. And religion, which is what was the backbone of Charlie's existence. Religion is sometimes used to justify these positions too. But that use is selective too. Christianity, when stripped of politics, centers on humility, justice, care for the oppressed, and truth. Using religion to argue that one group deserves less protection, less power, or less dignity directly contradicts those religious principles. That's why I hate you fucking fake Christians. When you come in here and you say you're Christian, you're lying. Specifically, if you believe the bullshit that Charlie was spouting. This is why I believed he was racist. You use religion as the backbone and the justification to say the things that you said. You used money and power. You got money and power just by off the backs of criticizing blacks. You got the people, the white people, to have victim mentality. See, now they got the victim mentality. Now they got that. Okay? Now they got that. Oh, we victims now. Y'all doing everything for the black folk. This entire framework also relies heavily on that white victimhood, just to the 10th degree. The message becomes efforts to correct racial injustice are actually attacking the white people. That's why he said civil rights should never have been enacted, because now I'm a white boy and my rights are being trampled on. Ooh, a victimhood. Now I got the victim mentality. That flips reality upside down. Fuck that. Accountability is reframed as oppression. I saw this quote the other day and I was laughing like a mug. This is the quote, and I just can't even get past it. The quote is, when you're accustomed to privilege, when you are accustomed to privilege, like white people are accustomed to privilege because of the color of their skin, when you are accustomed to privilege, equality looks like oppression. Equality looks like oppression. Make that shit sink in. Accountability is reframed as oppression. Inequality is reframed as loss. This is not evidence-based reasoning. It's an emotional defense of status. That's wild. When you're accustomed to privilege, your white skin is privilege. Give fuck what you say. It just is. Equality looks like oppression. What makes this form of racism dangerous is that it sounds calm and logical. Charlie was a nice, clean-cut boy. He got married. He was religious, went to church, had a wife, had kids, blah, blah, woo, woo, woo. This bullshit uses charts, cherry-pick data like he did in academic tones, went to the colleges, spoke to the young people, tried to indoctrinate our young people into this way of thinking, and he did a good job because all these goofy people who believe this way voted for Trump. A lot of them voted for Trump. Okay, uses these charts, academic tone, but the conclusion is always the freaking same. Black people are the problem. Not history, not policy, not exclusion, not redlining, not systematic racism. It's black people are the problem. That consistency is not accidental that he said that. That's why I know he was racist. Old school racism said black people were inferior outright. Outright, straight to your face. Straight to your face. Black people don't have a genetic propensity for crime. Let's get that out there. I had to say that. I had to say that. Black people do not have a genetic propensity for crime. Please understand that. Please get that through your head. Please get that through your head. Okay? New age racism says the same thing, but with footnotes. One uses slurs, the other uses concern. One relied on violence, the other relies on narratives like Charlie did. But both of these ways in which a person expresses racism is the same, justifying inequality and dismissing black humanity. So when people say Charlie Kirk's arguments are racist, they are not saying he wears a hood or uses slurs or uses the N-word. They're saying his ideas place him closer to racism than away from it, because he argues against civil rights, questions black intelligence, rewrites history to blame the oppressed, and hides all of that behind a respectable look, family, go to church, I'm a nice guy, and religion. That is not progress. It's simply racism that's learned how to speak politely in public.
Or are folks just simply racist and in denial about that? I don't know, food for thought. But what I do know is that watch your mouth, freedom is not free, and being racist is not a political opinion, it's a philosophy and the way you choose to live your life. Love and light. So much cheers.
So these past couple of days, I've been watching a lot of Charlie Kirk videos for a very specific reason. See, I've been hearing more and more people saying that he was racist, he was misogynistic, he said a lot of hateful things to people, and I didn't know that. And unlike a lot of people who just like to sling information, I was like, well, you know what, if I'm gonna make videos about him, then I'm gonna have to look now, aren't I? Now, before I get into this video, because I'm probably going to hurt people, let's just start with this, because this is to Christians, so this is to the body of Christ. For there are neither Jew nor Gentile, nor male nor female, nor slave nor free, for we are all one in Jesus Christ, right? We are all one in Christ Jesus. We are part of the body of Christ. What I'm seeing is major, major division in the church. Whatever to the outside world. People said that the church was coming together, that this would unify us, that this would, put us ablaze. I'm actually seeing a major division. So the people who seem to be the most outspoken or against Charlie Kirk seems to be a lot of women and then black people. And yeah, so, I mean, obviously I'm a woman, but I'm on nobody's side. I'm only on the Lord's side. So here we go. I went to watch his videos, right? I don't need to hear hearsay. I don't want to hear what other people have to say. I just went to his YouTube. And anything that I saw that people were claiming, I just put into the search bar and I watched his videos. So there's a lot about like him saying comments about black pilots, black women are stupid or they don't have brains for jobs, and then just misogynistic comments against women. Okay, well, these are all whatever your waxy ears want to hear because they're not there. They weren't there. I watched the videos, and he mentioned affirmative action. His claim, which is correct, is that affirmative action is essentially inherently racist because it gives people jobs for the color of their skin, how much melanin they have, as opposed to their mind, as opposed to if they're even qualified for the job. So what he was saying was he would be, you would wonder if the pilot was qualified if you saw a black pilot. Why? Because specifically United Airlines said that they wanted to up the amount of women in their staff, the amount of black women from 14% to over 50%. They just wanted to get their numbers up. So they didn't care how they were going to do it. They just wanted...
Wait a minute, hold up. Did you just say that they wanted to get their quota of black women up from 14 to half the workforce? Do anybody believe that they said that? Half of their workforce would be 50%, go from 14% to 50%? Do anybody believe that? That's wild.
Wanted it for DEI, right? And once he realized that was affirmative action, he said, yeah.
Some of y'all just be saying shit. Some of y'all just be saying shit. That don't even make no fucking sense. I'm going to I got 14% black people, black women, but I'm going to raise all the people that I hire. I'm going to raise it up to 50% black women. That shit don't even make no sense.
Don't you think that he has every right to say, well, you were like, yo, man, I don't know why this person is flying the plane. Are they qualified? I would say the same thing.
Y'all be saying anything on the internet. People just be saying anything.
Same thing he was saying with black women who were saying they were like judges or lawyers and stuff, and they were taking positions saying that they got into school because of affirmative action. Well, then you might be like, should I even have this person representing me? Because, they may not be qualified. So you can hear whatever you want to hear, but he didn't say the things that people are saying. Also, the misogyny.
And y'all do know I did say, you white folks can't tell me what racism is. I did say that, right? So when I hear white folks talking about this ain't racism, I don't fucking listen to y'all because you don't have no stand to tell me what's racism and what's not. If I know that it's racist to me, you don't get to tell me that. That's called gaslighting. That's wild to me that you got to even fix your mouth to tell me what is and what is not racist. You don't get to tell me what's racist. That's wild.
Comments and that he's anti-women, and he's not. Obviously he was pro-family. Obviously he had his opinions. But here's the thing. Had I met Charlie Kirk, we would have had a great rapport. We would have had great intellectual debates, and we would have done them with smiles on our faces, brother and sister in Christ. And you know what? We could have disagreed. And I would have been like, look, dude, single women are not, chopped liver. But you know what? He, as a believer in Jesus Christ, was defending the family against people who were trying to break up the family. But as believers, where is our grace, our mercy for our brothers and sisters in Christ, bearing one another's burdens? Where is the mercy in recognizing that not a single human being is Jesus Christ? Not one single human being is Jesus Christ himself, right? We are conforming to Jesus, so that's what we're supposed to be doing, right? We are supposed to be filled with the Spirit. We're supposed to be seeking righteousness, but nobody is Jesus. So if somebody offends you, then you know what? If you don't have access to them, then you need to go to Jesus Christ, right? You need to ask God for some grace to be able to do the things that you can't do. But under no circumstances do you get online and just say that this person is not a man of God and say that you had to unfollow a bunch of people. Like literally, these people were giving lists I saw in comments. They're like Emmy Moore, Paige, Cliff, pastors, Bryce Crawford, because they supported Charlie Kirk. And it's like, hold up a second. You're telling me that you're just going to chop all these people because Charlie Kirk was in politics? Well, here's another ignorance on a lot of Christians' part, Christians have to be in politics. Christians have to be plumbing. Christians have to be lawyers. Christians have to be in entertainment. Christians have to be artists. Christians have to be teachers. Christians have to be everywhere, because if we don't have Christians doing jobs, then who's going to do them for us? You expect, atheist to be running the country, and then who's going to push for the interests of Christians? No one. This ignorance really has to stop. This hate for this Christianity and politics, and they don't mesh our beliefs.
She fucking hurting my head. I don't know about nobody else, but this scatterbrain shit is hurting my head.
Are the way that we vote. And the division in the church between races now, literally races, the color of people's skin in the United States of America is absolutely despicable. Despicable. How do people get up and say that we're all part of the same body? I guarantee you don't. I guarantee you can't be. You can't be speaking about your brothers and sisters in Christ this way and then say that we're a part of the same body. Like forgiveness. What happened to group corporate forgiveness? There's no reparations. There's putting things behind you, right? We need to be praying to Jesus Christ. Help us to be able to speak to the Samaritan woman when you were a Jew and she was a Samaritan woman, looking past the ethnicity of people. If we can't do this as Christians, you can forget. You can forget about the culture doing it. And
here's the thing. I'm not a Christian. I don't give a fuck about you Christians. I don't give a fuck about you Muslims. I don't give a fuck about you Hebrew. I don't give a fuck about none of that. Right? Keep your religion in your kitchen. Keep your religion in your kitchen. Religion should not be in politics at all. So your religious belief, I don't give a fuck about your religious belief. I believe in the policies that we have to do. We have to enact for the good of the people, not your religion. Your religion stay in your kitchen. Religion stays in your neighborhood. Shouldn't be out here talking to me about your religion. It is what it is.
right now, the culture gets to watch us. Everybody gets to watch the church be divided over something. As an actual believer in Jesus Christ, his life, and because of some statements that he made, and because they happen to be about race, which is something that people just can't get over, they're watching us participate in cancel culture in the Church of God. We got to check ourselves, Christian.
Yeah, you definitely got to do that, because I heard about a whole bunch of cancel cultures. Heard about a whole bunch of cancel cultures back then. Or when he died, or whatever. Look, Charlie Kirk is what I call a new age racist. And yes, I did think he was racist. It is what it is. New age racists have to be politically correct, intellectually explain why they have a problem with black people. Because being an admitted racist in today's society is bad. It's a bad thing. You have to have an argument. You have to have an argument, according to these people. Charlie Kirk would be wearing a Klan robe if that was the case. They don't just run around saying the N-word and anything else. They just say shit and try to be politically correct. Okay, so my question is this. Why did people resonate so much with Charlie Kirk? And he was like that. And I said to myself, there's people out here who actually believe what Charlie Kirk said. They believed all that he said. They believe everything this man said. Okay? Everything the man said. They see him as a defender of traditional value. And I wrote it down. I said, why do they believe what this man said? Why do there's a lot of people who believe exactly what he said? And I wrote them down, the different things that I think they believed. They see him as they see him as defending those traditional cultural values, conservative values. A lot of supporters. A lot of support. They appreciated his positions on things that limited government, pro-life, gun right, opposing what he called wokeness. I don't know why y'all white people adopted that. You sound goofy when you talk about wokeness, because wokeness had nothing to do with you all. I don't understand. His opposition to diversity, equality, and inclusion and all that shit. Why does this matter? Why does that particular thing matter? Preserving cultural or conservative values. For the supporters, their issues feel like fights over core cultural values, not race. Even if the critics say these ways or ideas are framed and can marginalize certain groups, in which he did. They viewed him as a free speech warrior. Lord have mercy. I heard that online one time. Free speech, free speech. Some people say Charlie Kirk stood up for open debate on college campuses and in public life against what they see as a progressive dominance in media and education. It is what it is. When you go to college and your mind opens up and your mind expands to other different ideas, other people, other frames of reference, you become smarter and you walk away from the conservative party. Most of y'all walk away from the conservative party. But see, some of y'all got that shit fucked up, mixed up. I am a social liberal, progressive, and I'm a conservative fiscally. But I ain't no fucking Republican. And a lot of y'all feel the same way. But yet and still you call yourself conservative. But keep on keeping on. Why did they think of him as a free speech person? A free speech warrior. Kirk's controversial rhetoric is like pushback against censorship. Not racism, though others see it as enabling harmful narratives under the banner of free speech, though. They see him as inspiring young conservatives. A portion of his supporters are young conservatives who feel political spaces usually lean left. And he was helping them express themselves. And I get that. For them, the attraction is not specifically racial rhetoric, but mobilizing the youth and the voices, empowering the young up-and-coming conservatives. Some of his supporters don't agree with every one of his statements. They don't, just like Donald Trump. A lot of y'all don't agree with Donald Trump, but you supported him. Not everybody supports that, his controversial takes that are attributed to him. Some say they like his broader everyday message, but not the way that he expressed it. This highlights that agreement varies. Some are with his strategy, some are with his platform, and some are with his political goals. I get that. Some of them are motivated by the identity politics. They agree with him feeling that traditional America is under threat, under attack. Christianity is under attack, whether from progressive policies, changing dynamics, according to Nick Fuentes, because white people are becoming extinct, we are under threat. And so some people bought into that white victim mentality. This plays into perceived grievances that he had, which can make a lot of people receptive to rhetoric that frames changes as loss or invasion to the white culture. I get that. Religious conservatism supported him for his alignment with Christian values. He blended conservative politics with religious rhetoric. Some supporters saw his stance as morally grounded. That's why. Some of them simply said he was an ally of MAGA. He aligned with Trump, and the connection was a major appeal to many Republican voters. And it wasn't about any individual idea. It was about the larger political movement. And I get that too. And and also people, a small number of his supporters emphasized no one deserves violence. Even among his critics and some conservative supporters, you'll find statements condoning violence. I never believed in violence. I never wanted violence for him. He should be alive today. Okay. Black pastors condemned his rhetoric, but they rejected violence. Y'all need to get that into your head. A lot of people rejected violence. They did not believe in the violence. They just rejected his message, which is where I'm at. I reject your message wholeheartedly, but you should be alive. Okay? You should be alive. People agree with Kirk for many reasons, from policy to free speech to religion. Okay, not always endorsed by every controversial, not endorsing every controversial statement. I get all of that. But some of those supportive views overlap with racially charged narratives that he had, framing DEI as persecution of white people, can echo racial grievance politics. And that is white victim mentality, which was Charlie's go-to. Oh, by uplifting black people, by uplifting y'all, I'm being suppressed. Oh shit! If y'all don't take DEI out of the fucking system, white man ain't never gonna get no shot. White man ain't never gonna get no shot. Emphasizing victimhood feeds into the worldview where real racial progress of people of color is seen as a loss for white folks. That's crazy. A lot of people saw him fighting for their political identity and values. Others support him because they resonate with the cultural religious framework. In plain language, he was a defender of freedom, tradition, and conservative values. Okay, I get that. I get all of that. Okay, I get all of that. When that support relies on blaming or undermining black folk, though, or other racial groups, though, that support is not just political disagreement. It reflects a racial bias, a deeper racial bias that a lot of people have not grappled with. A lot of y'all haven't grappled with the fact that y'all have innate or implicit biases. There you go. That's it. A lot of people have implicit biases. It is what it is. It is what it is. Okay? And that's okay. That's okay. Because we can't change how people feel. You can't change how people view stuff. Now, the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you why some of the statements that he did, some of the stances that he had were racial. He claimed that black Americans were better off in the 1940s before civil rights. Black Americans lived under legal separation, segregation. Many people could not vote, attend schools, live in certain neighborhoods, work certain jobs. Lynching, racial terror, police violence were common and went unpunished. Measuring better off only by marriage rates, only by the daddy not being in the house, ignores freedom, safety, and the legal rights of people. Why is this racist? Why is it racist that he even said it? It defines black well-being by how compliant and how powerless black people were, not by their humanity. It implies black people function, connect better when denied their rights. It reframes oppression as stability, a classic racist talking point. Number 2, the Civil Rights Act of 1964 was a mistake. The Civil Rights Act simply made discrimination illegal. It did not force people to hire black folks, white folks, Mexican folks. It stopped the inclusion of black folks, Hispanic folks, Asian folks. Every major racial disparity that existed before the Civil Rights Act already existed because of discrimination. Why is this racist that he said it? Opposing civil rights laws mean accepting legalized racial exclusion. There is no race-neutral way to argue that black people should not have legal protection. It just is what it is. We have ignorant people all over the planet. Some are in my fucking chat. This positions black people equality as a problem because of racism as the problem, instead of racism being the problem. Number 3, black people are worse off today than under slavery. Slavery was legal ownership of human beings, forced labor, rape, family separation, torture, zero legal rights. Modern inequality, while it's real, is not comparable to slavery by any honest historical standard. Why is this racist that he thought this? It minimizes the brutality of slavery. It reframes black suffering as self-inflicted rather than imposed. And that's a bad thing. And that's the one thing I cannot stand, is when people get on here and say black people are the victim, or you have a victim mentality. No, we don't. This shit is true. They trying to gaslight y'all. Anybody who say this shit ain't true is trying to gaslight you. That's it. What did I say? What is that damn quote? What is that damn quote? I always forget that damn quote. When you're accustomed to having privilege, like most white folks are, equality looks like oppression. You need to think about that. Equality looks like oppression when you're used to something else. Number 4, systematic racism does not exist. This is what you hear all the time. Why is that false? Data consistently shows racial gaps in wealth, housing, policing, school funding. These gaps remain today, even when controlling for our income. Denying racism means, or systematic racism means, blaming outcomes entirely on black folk. It erases the history while judging the present conditions. It allows inequality to continue while pretending it's natural. That's wild. But when you're accustomed to privilege, equality looks like oppression. Number 5, black culture is the main cause of black poverty and crime. That is a lie. That is a stereotype. That is a trope. That's one of the things he used to say. 15% of the people committed 50% of the crimes. We already know that's a lie. Somebody put in the chat where that dumbass statistic came from. Jay, why don't you put in the chat where it came from? Otherwise, don't put misinformation in my chat, Jay. Because that is a lie. Black culture is the main cause of black poverty and crime. Crime correlates most strongly with poverty, segregation, and underfunded communities, not race. These conditions were created by policy, not culture. Similar outcomes appear in any group exposed to the same conditions. Why is this racist? It treats black people as culturally defective. Listen, black people don't have a genetic propensity for crime. Black people do not have a genetic propensity for crime. Not per capita, per capita, Jay. Shut your ass up if you can't come up with the right statistic. The right statistic, Jay, is 15% of the people, black people make up 15% of the population, but they are arrested at 50%. And that's, you got people like this giving people jobs. You got people like this being in HR. This is the systematic racism that we're talking about. He already has his mind frame set. When you have your mind frame set, this is how systematic racism continues. Implicit biases. Like Jay is showing right here. Low impulse control. I don't have low impulse control, Jay. And a lot of people don't have low impulse control. That's wild to me. Black people don't have a genetic propensity for crime. Shut your ass up, Jay. Number 6, claim he attacks Martin Luther King as overrated and harmful. Why is this so misleading? MLK was instrumental in ending legal segregation, passing civil rights legislation, expanding voting rights. His critiques of inequality are well documented and historically accurate. Why is this racist that Charlie Kirk tried to attack Martin Luther King, and Charlie Kirk couldn't even touch his fucking shoes, couldn't even lick his fucking boots? It accepts MLK only when he is sanitized and silent. It rejects Martin Luther King when he challenges white comfort. He delegitimizes black leadership while claiming respect for history. That's what your Charlie Kirk did. That's why it was racist. Number 7, successful black leaders only succeed because of affirmative action. This is the trope and this is the bullshit most people say. Because how do you explain motherfuckers that are successful and didn't use affirmative action? How do you explain people being successful without affirmative action? Many black leaders attacked by Kirk. He's graduated top of their class. Joy Reid. Joy Reid was one of the smartest people that ever hit a fucking campus. Held elite credentials. Taraji Brown. Forgot that's her name. Passed the same exams and confirmations. Michelle Obama. Affirmative action does not negate qualification. DEI doesn't negate qualification. There you go. You don't know jack shit about Joy Reid. This is the bullshit we talking about. This is the bullshit we talking about. You can't touch her. You can't touch her shoes. You can't lick her boots. At all. At all. That's wild. Affirmative action does not negate qualification. DEI does not negate qualification. That's what y'all don't get. That's what most people don't get. They don't know jack shit about DEI. Oh no, DEI was given to black people. It gives black people jobs. So if you didn't know, Goofy, more white women got those jobs from DEI. Goofy. So what about the white women that DEI helped? They helped white women more than they helped black people at all. At all. DEI helped white women. So how do you explain that, Goofy? All them white women didn't deserve to have them jobs? Shut your ass up. Shut your ass up. That shit don't even make sense. DEI does not negate qualification. Why is this racist? It assumes black success is artificial and it's not right. Put a black person next to any white people in any kind of fucking position and we gonna excel. We gonna excel. All circumstances even, all the playing field is even, black folks is gonna exceed or excel. Why do we have Tiger Woods? Why do we have tennis? Serena Williams? Why do we have everything that we compete with? We excel. We got 3 black kids that are geniuses. Right now, the smartest kids on the planet, and all 3 of them are black. That's fucked up. That's fucked up. Why is this racist? It assumes black success is artificial. It questions black intelligence without questioning white advantage. Never that. Never question how somebody like Goofy Hegseth would even be qualified. Not even qualified. And he got a defense. He got the Secretary of Defense job. Not even qualified. Donald Trump. The least qualified president of our lifetime. And he the president. Because only Goofy's voted for him. It reinforces the idea that black people don't earn their positions. Number 8. Black women lack the capacity for leadership or intellectual vigor. Why is that false? Black women are judges, doctors, senators, CEOs, professors. The most educated demographic group in the U.S. by enrollment trends. The incredible science supports claims of racial or gender inequality and intellectual inferiority. Why is this racist? It combines racism with sexism. It echoes centuries-old pseudoscience about black inferiority. It treats stereotypes as evidence. Wow, black people don't have a genetic propensity for crime. Colorblindness solves racism. How colorblindness ignores how race shaped housing, wealth, schools, policing. It protects racial hierarchies. It silences discussions of inequality. It frames acknowledging racism as the real problem. And criticism of these ideas is anti-white, according to Charlie Kirk, anti-white. Equality does not require white loss. Just because people disagree with what you all say doesn't make them dumb. You thinking that they're dumb because they disagree with what you say is why you're dumb. It's why you're dumb. Criticism of anti-white, like he said. Yeah, absolutely. If you think so, absolutely. Frank, official lot 13 of official Franklin. Of course I am. Of course. Of course. He said criticism of these ideas that he had were anti-white. Equality does not require white loss. I just don't understand why y'all think equality is white loss. When you're accustomed to privilege, equality looks like oppression. When you're accustomed to the white privilege, equality looks like oppression. Wow. Why don't you take that in? Suck it in. Put your hands in it. Get your hands all pruny with it. Why don't you think? Equality does not require white loss. Civil rights expanded democracy for everyone. Accountability is not oppression. Why is it racist that he thought that? It centers around white people's feelings over black reality. It reframes equality as persecution. When you're accustomed to privilege, equality looks like oppression. This is classic white victimhood framing. And now we got all the white folks pretending like they victims. Oh, y'all black people, we tired of dealing with y'all black folk. We tired of holding back for you black folk. Ain't that what they been saying? We tired of y'all black folk. We got black fatigue. We tired of y'all black folk trying to take our job, trying to take our way of life, trying to replace us. White men, you will not be replaced. Okay? This is that white victimhood framing that people are starting to put up, that President Trump put up in front of y'all. Now motherfuckers filling out the cards. Now motherfuckers coloring it in. We got to get rid of DEI, because then they gonna catch up to us. They gonna think they equal if they catch up to us. We need to get rid of DEI. It ain't based on merit. It ain't based on your credentials. It's based on color. They been hiring these niggers for their color. Let me help you out. Okay? You sound dumb as hell, Jacob Sims. You sound dumb as hell. You sound dumb as hell. Your race, your people would be over in my fucking backyard if we segregated from y'all. You be looking over our fucking fence. Shut your ass up with that dumb shit. I ain't blaming it on nobody. I'm saying what Charlie Kirk blamed it on. Okay? I don't have an opinion about anything. This is what Charlie Kirk thought. Okay? The bottom line is, old racism said black people are inferior. The new racism says the data just happens to say they are. The data. Charlie Kirk doesn't need slurs or hoods or the N-word or anything like that. His arguments were oppose black equality, deny black history, question black intelligence, blame black people for their oppression. That is why so many people correctly describe this as racism with a suit and a microphone. Not accidental, not neutral, and not harmless. It is what it is. I'm not saying it. People are saying it. I'm saying, and my thoughts are, that yes, he was racist because he did those particular things. He did those 4 things. Okay? And I had to repeat them because people didn't get it. What did I write down? Let me see. I wrote this down. He opposed black equality. He denied black history, questioned black intelligence, blamed black people for oppression. That is what he did when he spoke. It's not me who said it. He said these things. He said these things. I didn't know Charlie Kirk. I didn't know Charlie Kirk. I only knew him when he got shot. I only knew him when he got shot. Okay? That's all I knew about Charlie Kirk. Okay? He had his own thought processes. He felt like this. But I think it was the newfangled racism. Ain't nobody mad at that. He could think what he wanted to think. He could say what he wanted to say. And I can believe what I wanted to believe. I believed he actually was one of those newfangled racist people who knew you couldn't get out in front of people and say the things that you said and then still be acceptable. No, you didn't hear me say too many things about what I felt. I just spoke about what he was and what he didn't. As I said, if you're white, you don't get to tell me how Charlie's words affected me. You don't get to say that. You can sit and say he wasn't racist. I said because he opposed black equality, because he denied black history, because he questioned black intelligence, because he blamed black people for their oppression. This is what made him racist. Those 4 things. Those 4 things. So it is what it. I can be as racist as you like. It doesn't. That means nothing. It means nothing. I don't listen to that kind of goofiness. But the whole point was he was what he was. People accepted him for what he was. I know what he was. He knows what he was. It was racism covered up as some religious X, Y, and Z. It is what it is. It is what it is. I read an interview with one of Charlie Kirk's high school friends, and he said that Charlie Kirk applied to West Point and was denied. He then created a narrative that a black woman took his spot, which never happened. Once I read that, all the pieces fell into place. He purposely misrepresented DEI. Okay. And this is what a lot of people think. And this is what I was listening to the other night. Somebody said racism became a word that people would throw around to make other people feel guilty for not agreeing with them. The value, integrity, and real meanness of the word should be protected, because when it becomes so watered down that it's harder to see the actual racist. Nah, it ain't hard to see racist. A lot of people hide. It ain't hard to see racist. It is it is always seen. We can see it. We don't expect it, but we can see it, and sometimes we ignore it. You know, but since you all try to hold Charlie Kirk up as some holier than thou person, please, let's be clear. Charlie could never touch Martin Luther King's shoes or his boots or his thought pattern or his or his intelligence. We just have to be clear on that. He spoke with campus people, and he got those people to agree to the bullshit that he was putting around. That's great. That's fine. It's okay. It's okay. You wanted a conservative mindset, you got it. But don't come pretend like he was some great speaker, because he was not. And he was a great debater, because he was not. Okay? He was just a person that spoke at campuses and a podcaster. That's it. People holding him up to be higher than he was. No, he was no higher than that. Okay? He was just a regular, ordinary individual person that ran a podcast that was saying things that white people wanted to resonate with, because he opposed black equality, denied black history, questioned black intelligence, and blamed black people for their oppressor. Okay? That's it. That's it. He was a regular, ordinary, everyday human being. He was just everyday, ordinary. He was no special than anybody else. No special than anybody else. He just was a person that went around and talked on campuses, and he was a podcaster. And I'm not going to elevate him no higher than that. Okay? No higher than that. He was what he was. He was all that in a bag of chips to a lot of people, white folks and black folks, I guess. Most black folks didn't know who he was, right? That is my opinion. It is what it is. What you want me to say? His what you want me to say? He was no more special than somebody who went around and talked to a whole bunch of people on a campus. He had influence. He was a religious person. He went to campus. He talked to people. He had a podcast. All of that. You know, all of that. I don't negate what he did. I'm saying he was racist. That's it. It was what he was. And a lot of people thought the same way. But I came to the conclusion because I waited. And I thought, well, let me look. Let me see. Maybe he ain't. But then when I started listening to his parts, I said he denied black history, questioned black intelligence, blamed black people for the oppression that has been put on those people, and he opposed black equality. He did them 4 things. So once he did those 4 things, that solidified the fact that he was a racist. To me, he could be racist to me. He maybe he was your brother. Maybe you understood him and he was your brother. Okay, fine and dandy. He was your brother. Your brother was a bigot and a racist. There you go. He was a bigot and a racist. It was what it was. It is what it is. It is what it is. You can't change how I feel, because once I heard all of his clips, once I did all through that, we figured out what it was. He denied black history. He questioned black intelligence. All of those things are racist. All of those things are racist. Okay. But he deserved to live. He deserved to be here with his kid. He deserved all of that. But he was a bigot and a racist. All right. I hope you all hit the like, share, and subscribe button. We have content like this every day. Sometimes 2 or 3 times a day. I was gonna come back last night around 1 o'clock in the morning, but I was like, no, they ain't gonna show up. I ain't gonna do that. So we will be back later on. We do have some things to do with feminism and all that good stuff later on. You know, you feminists, you trad white feminists, shut your ass up. You traditional like everybody else. Hit the like, share, and subscribe button, please, and thank you. I appreciate it. We will be back later on. Please hit hit that like button, hit the like button, hit that like button. I appreciate it. I do, and I will be back. I liked it because I didn't get banned. Shut up. I liked it because I did not get banned. I will see you all later. I will be back later. Be back later. We have an argument back. We have an argument later. Later. Damn, everybody want to argue.